All right. Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Double A Team Podcast. I'm your host, Stephen Nagishi, and with me, as always, is my co-host, my regular co-host on the show from The Awful Announcing, the associate editor, Ken Fang. And Ken, happy Friday to you. And finally, the NFL is upon us. And since, Ken's got a lot of stuff to do later tonight, we're going to be focusing strictly on our NFL predictions for this upcoming season. And Ken, we've talked a lot about the NFL in our show in the past. I'm being a Bears fan, you being a lifelong Cleveland Browns fans, and certainly, we have a lot to look forward to this upcoming season, as I would imagine.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, Stephen. We've got a lot of things to talk about. As we speak, we have Philadelphia and the Green Bay playing in Brazil, in a former country of mine. I used to live in Brazil. I used to go to Sao Paulo, where my grandparents used to live, and my grandfather started a church there. I lived a couple of years in Rio de Janeiro. So seeing a game in Brazil, it's funny because when I lived in Brazil, Stephen, no one talked about futebol americano, as they called it back then. It's still call it, as a matter of fact. But it's great to see the Brazilians get into the American football, and something we might be able to discuss a little bit later on if we have time, about the fact that Roger Goodell wants to have like 16 weeks of international games. We can talk about that, but let's talk first about what our thoughts about the upcoming season.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to touch on that a little bit later. And certainly we're going to be talking strictly about the upcoming NFL season, which already began yesterday. I should say last night, in a very exciting game between the defending Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs and the Baltimore Ravens. And Ken, give me a quick rundown on, I don't know if you saw the game a little bit or caught the glimpse of it. What did you think of the game last night?
Well, it was very exciting. The NFL is the greatest reality show out there. And when you have two great teams, the two teams that played in the AFC Championship last season, and two pretty much evenly matched teams, had this game being played in Baltimore, you have to think the Ravens would have been favored. Of course, there are some calls that are interesting calls, illegal formation calls that all seem to go against Baltimore, and none called against Kansas City. But overall, you could see about the fact that some of these players who don't play in preseason, they got tired at the end. You can see the fatigue come in, and a lot of, especially Chris Jones and a lot of the Kansas City Chiefs, they just couldn't. They were very tired in trying to chase Lamar Jackson down the field last night, especially in the drive that could have won the game. But as you saw, the Toby Likely, the wide receiver who caught the pass that seemed to be the winning touchdown, or the tying touchdown, what should have been the tying touchdown, and John Harbaugh was going to go for two. That would have been interesting to see how that would have transpired. But instead, Kansas City won 27-20. They reversed last year's opening season loss to Detroit, and also it set a record for the most watched kickoff game, 29 million over last year's 27 million on NBC. So it was great to watch. It was fun to watch, Stephen. It's great to have football back. And, of course, we've got Green Bay and Philadelphia, the very first Friday night Week 1 game dating back to the 1970s. So it's great to watch. And, we've got a full weekend of football. We've got Sunday football. We've got NFL Red Zone. We've got the Bears playing. We've got the Browns playing. We've got all of our teams playing in Week 1. It's going to be fun to watch, and whenever I hear Scott Hansen say 7 hours of commercial-free football starts now, I get excited. So it's fun to watch, and I'm glad it's here.
Yeah, so it is for me. This summer, we were fortunate enough that during the usually the dead period of the sports time before the NFL, we had the Euro and Copa America, and then the Olympics to help us get through the normally the boring summer sports period between the baseball and the football. So I'm very, very excited. I have at least something to look forward to this upcoming season with regards to my Chicago Bears. And, with Caleb Williams finally, taking over, obviously the Bears are starting over at quarterbacks again. But, if there's anybody who is equipped to deal with the noise and the pressure of being a Chicago Bears quarterback, which still doesn't have a 4,000-yard passer, 30-plus touchdown passers, and yada, yada, yada. And, we hear Sid Luckman's name brought up constantly. It is Caleb Williams who is ready, and I think he is going to hopefully transcend his work ethic, and his skills are just off the chart, and hopefully he can help elevate the Chicago Bears into the powerhouse team. Maybe not this year, but next year and moving on. So hopefully it will this year. It is the first year of what I hope will be a historic season for the Bears and Caleb Williams. All right, without further ado, Ken, let's kind of get into our prediction. Let's start with the NFC. And starting with the NFC East, the Cowboys are the defending Super Bowl champions, but they have a lot of noise.
They're not
they have a lot of problems, certainly, with the contract negotiations with Dak Prescott and Michael Parsons. They got the CeeDee Lamb thing done, but I think I look at it this as between Dallas and Philly, battling for it, and I am kind of leaning towards Philly in this one. I think the Cowboys have a lot of distractions. Of the Dak Prescott's contract. They're going to let him play out, it looks like, and then let him hit the free agency market, which is kind of a shocking and unfathomable thing to do. And I just think that it's going to be a massive headache and a lot of distractions for the Cowboys. And I just like the Eagles to win the division, Dallas, and then I'm going to say Washington and New York Giants in that order. Ken, what do you say?
I'll have to agree with that. The Giants are in a disarray, Steven. This is a team, a once proud franchise. They won two of the greatest Super Bowls ever in defeating one of the most corrupt teams and organizations in all of the United States and the world, the New England Patriots. And also, this is a franchise that has fallen on hard times. We may see the first firing of a coach in Brian Daboll coming up maybe this season if the Giants don't improve. He could be fired in Week 8. I really believe that. On the other hand, I do see the Washington Commanders. They're improving. I think they have a chance to do quite well and probably win maybe 8 games this season. But as far as that, I think the NFC is going to be between Dallas and Philadelphia. I do agree Philadelphia is going to be on the up and up. You have Jalen Hurts, who looks like to be a fantastic quarterback. They are lost Jason Kelce, who provides great leadership in the middle as a center. They've also lost some great players on defense as well. But I really think that they can overcome that. I think the Eagles know how to win. They've gotten to a Super Bowl 2 seasons ago. I think they could go back if everything falls right for them this season. Dallas, I think I agree with you. Jerry Jones is just he doesn't know when to shut up. He just doesn't know. He thinks every time he thinks that every time you just think that the Dallas Cowboys are going to do something decent, Jerry just opens his mouth and then they just go downhill. Mike McCarthy is in a lame duck situation. You mentioned Dak Prescott's in a lame duck situation as well. He's not signed his contract. I do believe that at the end of the season, both may be gone. So I have a feeling that Cowboys are just going to be they'll get to the playoffs. They'll be in the wild card situation, but again, they'll find a way to lose in the playoffs like they always do. Steven, I think the Eagles are the class of the division. I think they'll
Mhm.
win. I think they'll win 11 to 12 games.
I agree with that assessment there. I think Philly will win the division, and I think Cowboys might be kind of teetering on the wild card race till the very end. All right, let's move on to the NFC North. It's a division that I'm very familiar with as a Bears fan, and obviously, the Bears have been, a butt of a joke in that division for quite some time. But things are finally on the up based on what we witnessed in the Hard Knocks, which ended this past Tuesday. And there are certainly three legitimate contenders in the division. And as much as I am a Bears fan, and I have to be brutally honest, right now I think Detroit and Green Bay are the top echelon, while the Chicago is kind of like just one rank below. And then Minnesota this year with Sam Darnold, being the quarterback, I think they might struggle a little bit. So I'm going to say Detroit, Green Bay, Chicago, and Minnesota in that order in terms of finishing the division, Ken.
I'll agree with that again. I think Detroit, they have made a lot of improvements. And here's a team that should have gone to the NFC Championship game. They should have beaten San Francisco last season, Steven, in the playoffs.
Right. They were leading that game. Yeah.
They should have won that game. Dan Campbell learned a lot. And right now, Green Bay just scored the opening touchdown against Green Bay. So very good, nice.
The Eagle. Okay, so the Packers are already up 7-0 against the Eagles.
Yep. So they just went down Jordan Love. So it's very appropriate that we're talking about him. So wait a minute. There looks like there's a penalty flag, so it may be coming back. We'll see what's coming happen. So I can tell you that I think that Detroit will win the division. I think they can get 12 to 13 wins. I also think Green Bay will be second. They'll probably get 9 to 10. But I think Chicago is going to do better than we think, Steven. I think they can get eight wins this season. I think they'll do very well. And I'm going to say Minnesota is going to get 4 wins. Sam Darnold has yet to prove that he can quarterback anything, okay? I also think that the fact that Minnesota, they got rid of Kirk Cousins, that's going to hurt them. I really do believe that Minnesota, their window is shut. The window was really wide open at one time. I think it is closed. I think right now the windows are open for Chicago, Green Bay, and Detroit. And I really do believe that the Detroit Lions are the class of that division. Green Bay is going to be they'll probably be the wild card in that one. In Chicago, I think Steven, your team is going to be 8 and 9. I think you'll take that. I think that's going to be quite a good season for Chicago. And I think with Caleb Williams, I think there's a really good chance for Chicago to finally have that quarterback, that legitimate quarterback, instead of that rotating quarterback. And we have no idea how the quarterback. I really think this season that Caleb Williams is going to show something to the fans, something to Chicago. And I think he's going to really endear himself to the fans this season with his work ethic. And, I really do believe that the Bears are going to give the fans something to believe in this season after some really hard times. And I think it's time for the Minnesota Vikings to feel the feelings that the Bears fans have been feeling over the last few years. I think you'll feel that. What's interesting, Steven? Almost like a week before we were good, I was thinking about our predictions. Actually, I was almost on the teetering thinking about juxtaposing Minnesota and Chicago. But I really do believe that Minnesota, after seeing what they're doing and with Sam Darnold, I really do believe they're just going to have 4 wins this season. I think it's about time the Vikings get their comeuppance.
Yeah, they had J.J. McCarthy waiting in wings, and unfortunately,
and he's hurt.
And he's gone for the year. So, they do have Justin Jefferson. So, Sam Darnold will definitely benefit. So, but I would not be shocked if they win 6 games. I think that the Bears, if they have a lucky break in here and there, I could see them win 10 games, and that's probably like the floor. With a little bit of luck, maybe they can get 11. I think the Lions could get 12, 13 wins, and then the Packers would be about maybe 11 or 12, sure, certainly in that range. And living here in Detroit, they're getting a lot of praises from all over the pundits and even the local radio station that carries the Lions and the flagship station people there. They are really really excited, and why not? They came close to winning the NFC and getting to the Super Bowl. I do believe that this is their window right now. Maybe this year and the next year, they have at least 2 years to win the Super Bowl, get to the Super Bowl and win. I should say, so this is a very, very critical year for Detroit. They can't have any slip ups. Dan Campbell, always goes for the fourth down based on his gut instincts and all. That can certainly come back to bite them. But overall, I do believe that the Lions are in a mold of Campbell, and it's a nice reflection of the city. And Campbell's personality kind of reminds me of the Mike Ditka and the Chicago Bears when Ditka was hired, and reflection of the team and the city kind of resonates in that very similar in that way. So yeah, Detroit is the division winner in my opinion. All right, let's move on to the NFC South. This has been kind of the sorry about that.
Yeah, just to quickly update you, there was a penalty on Green Bay. They didn't that touchdown was called back, and they just punted the ball away to Philadelphia. So right now the score is it's scoreless in in Sao Paulo, Brazil, as Philadelphia takes the ball over in the first quarter. So it's still scoreless, no touchdown for Green Bay.
Mm-hmm. So looking at the NFC South, this is kind of a division that's always been somewhat of a treated like a stepchild, because we've had the Buccaneers go to the playoffs in Tom Brady's final season 2 years ago at an 8-9 record, if you remember. Right now, as you can see there, it's the Buccaneers who won the division. They won the division for the last couple of seasons now. Or the Atlanta Falcons, basically, with Kirk Cousins at the quarterback position. The Falcons are certainly in a win now mode a little bit there. I think it's a close race there, Ken. But I am kind of leaning towards Atlanta. It's kind of a sexy pick because obviously they got the quarterback now in Kirk Cousins. Unfortunately, coming off on a ACL injury. So how soon can Kirk rips it? And then if he has if he doesn't have any problems, moving around or being in a pocket, I think offense for the Falcons certainly could take off with Drake London and Kyle Pitts, who we're still waiting for him to finally break through. But Falcons number 1 and Tampa Bay 2. And then you have the Saints and the Carolinas. I think Saints probably are slightly better than Carolina in terms of talent. So I'll probably put Saints at number 3. And then the Carolina Panthers at number 4, Ken.
I really think that the winner of this division could have a losing record. I really do. We've seen it before happen in this division. Tampa Bay, remember, went after the year after Brady had a losing record to get to the playoffs and hope for the division game. I really do believe that the team that wins the division could have 7 wins, to Steven. That's how bad this division is. And I believe, and I think it's going to be the New Orleans Saints, believe it or not. I think this division is so bad that and the fact that even with Kirk Cousins and the Tampa Bay, I'll give a hot take. I'll say the New Orleans Saints with 7 wins wins this division, followed by the rest, followed by Atlanta and Tampa. I think there's a lot of questions about Kirk Cousins. I really don't know if he has. That's the reason why that they decided to draft a quarterback and surprise the heck out of him. So I really Carolina is just a bad team, and they have a bad owner. We've discussed his behavior in the past on the show.
Yeah.
So I really do believe that New Orleans with 7 wins could win this division, and then followed by Atlanta with 6 and Tampa Bay with 5. And Carolina, I believe, will not win a game this season. That's how bad they are. I really believe Carolina could go 0-17.
Wow, that's certainly a real bold take there, Ken. Yeah, 2 years ago, they the Bucks won the division with an 8-9 record. So, being that none of the teams really stand out in that division, for better for worse. Yeah, I can understand your process there. So, whoever wins it, I would not be shocked if it's 8-9 or even, God forbid, 7-10. And we're going to be talking about, if the losing team should, who wins the division should be even allowed to go into the playoffs again, which was a conversation of topics not too long ago. All right, let's go to the NFC West. The 49ers, the runner-up in the Super Bowl last year. I think the offseason that they've had, Brandon Ayuk's contract situation was a massive headache. Thankfully, they got that resolved, and even Ayuk himself admitted he made it a little more difficult than he should have when it comes to the contract situation. And then Trent Williams also came back just in time for the regular season. He was a holdout pretty much the entire training camp. But when you're of his age at 35, 36 years old, you don't need a training camp, So at least that he preserved himself. He ended his holdout. So the things are kind of on the upswing again for the 49ers. But, Brock Purdy, we're still kind of trying to find out if he's more of a system quarterback, or is he legitimately a good quarterback? I'm kind of leaning more towards the former because of the system Shanahan ran, Kyle Shanahan, that is. So as long as, Brock Purdy operates within the confines of Shanahan's system, I think the 49ers will always be a threat. They still have Christian McCaffrey running, like a young self that he was when he was with Carolina. I think going to San Francisco rejuvenated his career. I think he will be another 1,300 rusher again this year. Very, very dangerous. It's San Francisco, LA, and I'm going to give the third place to Arizona. I think, adding Marvin Harrison Jr. Would hopefully elevate that offense. God, Lord knows, Kyler Murray, needs a legitimate receiver to throw to, like he used to have with DeAndre Hopkins. Seattle's kind of in a transition, unfortunately, with Mike McDonald as the new head coach replacing Pete Carroll. It's going to be very, very interesting up in Seattle. You have Geno Smith, getting up there in age right now, and probably approaching mid-30s now, early to mid-30s. So, his career could be on the line. There's no question about that. So give me San Francisco, LA, Arizona, and Seattle in that order, Cat, for me.
Yeah, I think San Francisco is the king of that division until someone knocks them off. Of course, you have the Rams, a few years removed from their Super Bowl win with Matthew Stafford. I don't think that the Rams, and as good as their coaching staff is, and as good as we've seen some issues with the Los Angeles Rams ever since their Super Bowl win, Steven. I really do think that right now, as much as I dislike Kyle Shanahan's system, they did have a chance to win the Super Bowl last year against Kansas City, and some people doubt they should have won it. So I don't.
Yeah, they had the lead. Yeah.
I don't begrudge anybody thinking that at all. And Kyle Shanahan did show me something by not trying to be too cute during that Super Bowl as he did in the past when he was the offensive coordinator for Atlanta and blowing that lead, that 28-3 lead, helping to blow that 28-3 lead against the New England Patriots and his offensive plan there. But I really do think that San Francisco has a great chance to repeat and potentially go back to the Super Bowl this season. Brock Purdy still has to prove that he's an elite quarterback, as you said, Stephen. They do have great weapons in Christian McCaffrey. They also have the great. They also have their great receivers, as you mentioned. Ayuk is coming back. They also have the most of the tools of their offense back, pretty much healthy. So San Francisco has to be considered a team that could win 13 to 14 games in that division. Los Angeles, I would have to think, would win 9 to 10. Arizona is still, I don't understand them. I used to have Kyler Murray for 2 straight seasons as my quarterback in fantasy football. Not that anybody cares, but Kyler Murray just would do great things one week and then the next week throw horrible interceptions and picks and then just make terrible decisions. Now that he has Marvin Harrison Jr., he might be back to showing the potential that he did in his rookie season. So I really believe that right now Arizona is a wild card in that, Stephen. They have a chance to probably get maybe 7 to 8 wins. And then, as you mentioned, Seattle is a wild card in that as well. I don't believe that they're going to do, as you mentioned, now that they don't have Pete Carroll anymore. He's gone. Similar forced out as Bill Belichick was from the New England Patriots. I believe that we're going to see that the Seattle Seahawks probably will finish last. I believe 5 to 6 wins for them in that for that. So I'll pretty much agree with your order in the division for the NFC West.
All right, let's get the NFC wildcard teams. I think we've already mentioned the divisions. So for me, 3 wildcard teams are Dallas, Green Bay, and LA Rams. Ken?
Yeah, that I have to go with that. I totally agree. I would think that would be a very interesting, a great wild card weekend there for those. I would have to say for me the number 1 seed for me is going to be Philadelphia. That's I'm going to go with. I'm going to go East Coast bias there, and I'll say San Francisco will be the number 2 seed, followed by out of who would I say my NFC
I said Philly and New Orleans in that order.
Well, yeah, New Orleans would be my last pick for the division, but I said, oh yeah, for the NFC North, I said that it was right? It was what?
It was the Lions, right?
Lions, yeah. So I would say that the number 1 seed would for me for Philadelphia, the number 2 seed San Francisco, 3 Detroit, and then 4, of course, New Orleans with their horrible losing record. But the 3 wild card teams would be Dallas, Green Bay, and the Rams.
Okay, and the NFC champions, I will say I'm going to pick Detroit, as difficult as it is as a Bears fan. I think the Detroit Lions have everything going for, as long as their defense, especially in the passing, defense improves significantly, and they have to, when they consider facing the Packers receivers, Justin Jefferson, and the Bears quartet of Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, and Rome Odunze. You better have a solid pass defense. The secondary. I think they did invested a lot in that area this offseason, and I think this is a good of a shot for the Detroit Lions. To me, if they don't make it to the Super Bowl this year, to be honest, I don't know if the Lions can ever get back into it, or maybe it might take another 5-10 years before they can get back into that, to that level. Ken, who are you picking NFC?
Well, I'll go differently. I'll say Philadelphia. I hate to say do chalk, but I'll say my number 1 seed Philadelphia will get there. I'll say Detroit gets to the NFC Championship game against Philadelphia. They play at Lincoln Financial Field. It'll be a very close game, but I'll say that Philadelphia wins it in a field goal and advances to the Super Bowl in New Orleans.
Okay. All right. Let's move on to the AFC East. This is a very interesting division, Ken, and I think the storyline is the New York Jets. Obviously they were supposed to was a sexy pick last year with Aaron Rodgers at quarterback, and his season only lasted less than a quarter on the opening night, and he tore his ACL unfortunately, and the Jets kind of stumbled unfortunately. You have Buffalo and Miami making the playoffs. Certainly, the Jets are outside lurking in. Aaron Rodgers is healthy. I think if he is healthy and if he's still capable of playing at a high level, I'm not going to ignore the Jets. I'm not there yet to anoint them as a division winner, in my opinion. But for me, Buffalo is still the class of the division. Miami is a close second. The Jets will be in the dogfight until the very end, and then the outside, like way back, is the New England Patriots, who I believe will have probably the top 2 or 3 worst record in the NFL, in my opinion, Ken.
Yeah, I'm going to say Miami wins the division. I think Mike McDaniel's a very good coach. I think Tua Tagovailoa is finally going to take flight. I'll say that the Buffalo Bills, as they get ready to go into a new stadium in a couple of years, will be a second and be my wild card. I don't know about the New York Jets. I really think that, and while we know about the Jets and Aaron Rodgers, I do believe that the Jets just aren't as good as everybody thinks they are. I don't believe they're as good as they think they are, Stephen. I believe that I think the Jets will get somewhere between 6 and 8 wins this season. So I'll take with the Miami Dolphins with 11 wins. I'll go with the Buffalo with 9. And then I'll take the Jets with 6. And the New England Patriots will, I know they're over under this year is 5, I believe 5.5 wins. I will take them with 4. So I just don't believe that they're just as good at all. Going to the North, which is my division, the Cleveland Browns made the playoffs last season. I'm going to say they're going to win the division. I know that's a bold pick. I don't like their quarterback, Deshaun Watson. I never have. He's this thing hanging over him. I just don't like the fact that he is the quarterback of my team. But as he goes, so go the Browns. I do think that I hope he doesn't have a great season, but I think the team around him will have a decent team. I think they could win maybe 11 wins this season. Pittsburgh is a Cincinnati, which lost Joe Burrow last season, had to finish last in that division. I think they'll finish second with 10 wins. I think it'll go down to the Battle of Ohio. Pittsburgh, Russell Wilson, we just don't know what type of team he's going to have and what type of year he's going to have, Stephen. And of course, the Baltimore Ravens too. I shouldn't forget about the Ravens, and of course, they got to the AFC Championship. You know what? I hate to say this. I'm gonna have to revise my pick. I think the Ravens are the class of the division. They'll probably win 13 games. I'll say Cincinnati. My Browns will win 11. Cincinnati wins 9, and I think Pittsburgh finishes out of the playoffs. And I think this is going to be the last season for the Pittsburgh coach. And as much as we all love Pittsburgh's coach, I just don't think that. I think he's going to have a losing season. He hasn't had a losing season there yet. I think he's going to have one this year. I think Pittsburgh's going to finish last. So I think Baltimore will win the division. My Browns will finish second. Cincinnati will finish third, and Pittsburgh finish last.
Yeah, I agree with your picks there. I think Baltimore, Certainly, the question mark is, will Lamar Jackson and the Ravens ever break through? Last night's season opener against Kansas City, they came very, very close. That the last touchdown, unfortunately, was touching the white line in the end zone. They gave their best shot, but there were some questionable play calling when it comes to offense, where Lamar Jackson was running the ball way, way too many times and was
Yeah.
taking unnecessary hits, in my opinion. So that was a little bit of a question mark there. So, this loss definitely stings. It sucks if you're a Baltimore fan, without question. Baltimore is the number one team in that division, in my opinion. And it's kind of a toss-up between three teams, the Bengals, Browns, and Pittsburgh. Any of those three teams could finish, second and maybe get to the wild card. But, yeah, I am kind of leaning towards Browns. Certainly, I think because they made it there last year. A lot of the players that helped them get there all return. Myles Garrett is the reigning defensive MVP, and I think he will continue to wreak havoc. The Bengals, I think there's a little bit of question mark when it comes to the health of Joe Burrow, and then the contract negotiations of Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. I think T. Higgins is obviously likely to hit the market. Jamar Chase's situation. He doesn't need a contract just yet because he's still on his third-year deal of a rookie. So, he's not going to free agency next year, but the negotiations has not gone as smooth as, the Bengals had hoped for. So I put the Bengals at third, and number four, I agree. I think the Steelers, I predict that they'll have a first losing season under Mike Tomlin. I just don't know if Russell Wilson can stay healthy the entire game, and obviously he's not. He's looking like he's not going to start the opener. It's going to be Justin Fields, so I think that's going to cause major problems for Pittsburgh offensively. Baltimore, Cleveland, Cincinnati, and Pittsburgh in that order. Moving on to the AFC South, Ken. It's hard to believe that the Texans a couple of years ago were really bad team. They were a butt of a joke. You had a team chaplain running the organization as a team president. Thank God they finally got rid of him. They made a home run hiring DeMeco Ryans. They drafted C.J. Stroud and Will Anderson, and voila, the team finished 10-7, won the division in a surprising manner. They beat your Cleveland Browns in the opening round of that playoffs, and they added Danielle Hunter, and now I think they're legitimately ready to make that next leap. As long as C.J. Stroud stays healthy, and then he continues to make that progression for me. It's the Texans who wins the division in the AFC South. And for me, I'm going to give Jacksonville, the second place. I just think that they're just too talented to be this bad. I think, Doug Peterson could be on the hot seat if the team gets off to a really slow start. So Jacksonville at number 2 for me. Indianapolis at the number 3 spot. I think Indy will go further if Anthony Richardson stays healthy and he makes a nice progression. Unfortunately, his rookie season got cut short, so from a development standpoint, it's a massive loss, and it really hurts the Colts. And then at number 4, Ken, help me out here. I know I'm missing a team here for the who else is in the division, and whoever that team is. So you have Houston, Indianapolis, Jacksonville, and Tennessee. I'm sorry, Tennessee Titans. Who the Bears are playing. I'm kind of baffled by what the Tennessee Titans are doing. They fired Mike Vrabel, and they brought in Brian Callahan from the Bengals. Certainly has very well respected offensive coordinator per se. Worked with Joe Burrow, but Yeah, I think Tennessee's in a kind of an interesting position, but I just think that this is a year they finish dead last in that division. Ken.
Yeah. So let's do this real quickly because I got to get going soon. So I will go. The winner will be Houston. It really doesn't matter the rest of the division. I really don't think that the rest of the division is going to be as good to get to the playoffs. But I'll go with Jacksonville, Tennessee, and Indianapolis in that order.
Okay. All right. Let's go to the AFC West, and there's no question the storyline is 3P for Mahomes and Chiefs. It's the Chiefs number one, of course. I think they're going to blow this division out of the water. I'm going to pick the LA Chargers at number two. Very curious to see what Jim Harbaugh does in his return to the NFL after winning a national championship at Michigan. For me, the third place team in that division between the Las Vegas Raiders and the Denver Broncos. I'm gonna go Denver. I just think that Sean Payton can't afford to take too much time when it comes to rebuilding that franchise. Bo Nix is the new quarterback now. I'll just say that because I trust Sean Payton more than the Antonio Pierce, the new coach at Las Vegas. So Broncos 3, Las Vegas in that order, Ken.
Yeah, I'll go with Kansas City. I think they have a great chance to three-peat. They a lot of things have to go right for that. They may be a tired team when they get to the playoffs, but we'll see. I do think that the Harbaugh factor is going to put the Chargers second. I'll go with the Raiders because of Amy Trask and her affiliation with the Raiders. That's third, and then I will go with Denver. There's still I know that Sean Payton has done great things in the past with the New Orleans Saints, but he hasn't found his voice yet in Denver. So I think that they will finish last. And again, I don't believe that. I think the AFC West will be a one playoff team division for.
Okay, wild card from the AFC. I'm gonna pick the Dolphins, Jets, and then I'm gonna go with the Bengals in that order. Ken.
I will go with the Bills as my pick for the AFC, and then two out of the AFC North, which will be the Browns and the Bengals. So those are there, and then the rest. Like I said, I think the other divisions are just not strong enough to get playoff teams. The South and the West, and I believe that my pick for the number one seed would have to be the Chiefs. Although remember the Chiefs did it out of they had to go on the road after the division last season. So we'll see what happens with them. I think the number 2 seed is going to be Baltimore. The 3 seed is going to be the Miami Dolphins, who will get a home playoff game this time around instead of having to go to a very, very cold Kansas City like they did last season and lose in the first round in the wild card. And then my last team, which I chose, will be the Houston Texans. They will play in the wild card again. So I think in that order, Kansas City, again, Baltimore, Miami, and then and then Houston.
Okay. AFC pick. I think for me, it's Kansas City until proven otherwise.
Yeah, I agree. I think Kansas City and Philadelphia will play in the Super Bowl. And I think I will take finally Philadelphia to take over and finally knock off. There's never been a three-peat winner in the NFL. There's a reason for that because it's just difficult to do. It's not easy. We saw New England also try to do it. They couldn't do it. They also had a try for an undefeated season. It's just so hard to do it in the NFL. I believe the Philadelphia Eagles will be the Super Bowl champion this year.
Okay, so for me, I picked the Lions out of the division NFC. So it's the Chiefs versus the Lions for the Super Bowl for me. And if there's a player or a team that can, defy odds, it's the Kansas City Chiefs. And for me, until proven otherwise, I will pick the Chiefs. So Chiefs will beat the Lions in a very competitive game in Super Bowl this year for me. That's how I see it. And until proven otherwise, then they will likely to be the first team in NFL history to become a 3-time Super Bowl champion. Well, listen, Ken, I know you're very, very busy tonight, so I really appreciate it. I know we had to really go through fast, and I appreciate you sticking around for me on this Friday night to do the, a quick live stream for the upcoming NFL season. Folks, make sure to subscribe to our channel that is currently also doing live stream as well. As you can see, youtube.com/FangsBites. You could also follow us on X, formerly Twitter, as you can see next to our name at Fangs Bites on Twitter, X, and for me at Asian Sports Fan 1 on X. Thank you very much for joining us tonight, folks, and hope you have a wonderful football weekend. Enjoy your opening NFL season, and then we will get back to you again next week at an undetermined time and date, and we will look back on the week 1 of the NFL and then also catch up on the other important sports or sports media news. Till then, have a great weekend. Ken, thank you very much for joining me on this live stream tonight. Take care.
Have a good night, everyone.